The Trump administration has reportedly started discharging some soldiers who are not U.S. citizens. According to the Associated Press, dozens of service members have been kicked out of the Army, in many cases without being told why. This is now the subject of a lawsuit, and Martha Mendoza is a national writer for the AP, the Associated Press, and she co-wrote the story. She joins me now from Santa Cruz, California. Martha, fascinating story. First up, give us a sense of exactly who's been affected.
Well, we don't know the scale of it, but we have heard from attorneys and spoken with young men and servicewomen who have been discharged. We're up to more than 40 now.
So what are you hearing about from the soldiers in particular? What are they being told about exactly why they're being discharged?
They are devastated. These are people whose futures were staked on becoming citizens and who are instead now being discharged. The reason they're given is generally not clear to them at all, but it appears that there was a lot of onerous background checks that were added in recent years, and the military has not managed to put them through those background checks.
You know, Martha, for so long, this was sort of a sacred line you didn't touch, you didn't cross. During the Iraq War, I remember a debate within the Bush administration about exactly how important this was to get these folks naturalized, give them citizenship for their efforts that they really contributed to this country that other fellow Americans were not able to contribute. You know, we've seen criticism from one Republican in particular, Ohio Governor John Kasich, but I'm curious, what in particular is the Pentagon saying about this?
Well, because there is litigation pending, the Pentagon has not said much about it, except for that there is some confusion. And I want to be clear that the people who we've spoken with and heard about have not yet even managed to deploy. So they are reservists and U.S. Army recruits who enlisted and then began going through background checks that were required before they could go to boot camp. And so before they even went to boot camp, they got discharged.
So walk us through again, Martha, of the policy to expedite citizenship for some immigrants who have served. Take us through sort of the idea behind this.
Yeah, since the Revolutionary War, immigrants have been serving in the U.S. military, but the pathway to citizenship is the idea that if you are an immigrant and you're willing to serve the United States, in exchange, you will get naturalized. And sometimes it can take just 3 months. So as soon as they're out of boot camp, they're being naturalized. And studies have shown that these are some of the best soldiers that the U.S. military has. Not only do they have language skills, they also typically are a little better educated and much less likely to drop out.
And you also look at these, just the sacrifice that so many of them have made and the willingness, as you say, and also at a time when the Army isn't exactly, recruitment is hard. It's not easy, and it's usually the same pool of families that continue to make the sacrifice for this country. And we know the Trump administration's immigration policy is a hard line. So with that in mind, do we expect anything to change?
It's hard to say, because in this situation, there are a lot of people in the military who appreciate and really cherish the service of these service members who are immigrants. And so it's, I can never look forward and say what's going to happen, but I should say there's a lot of pressure on all sides on this issue.
Martha, I'm just curious how you're going to continue following this story. It's such an important one, affecting so many people who have given so much.
Today, we're hoping to publish a story telling one person's story, one service member's ambition and optimism and love of country, and now he's a bit of a loss of what he's going to do next. This is typical of these young recruits.
Yeah, it's just everything. When I've been embedded out there with these guys, it just is a sense of purpose and drive that I cannot explain. You see their eyes light up as they're talking about taking on risky missions, being embedded, and they might not come back in some of these cases when they go out on these night raids and serve their country. It's fascinating reporting, Martha. I'm grateful that you're on this and could join us to explain it further. Martha Mendoza,
Thank you.